This is part 2 of my interview with Maxwell, recorded on October 13th, 2009, driving through the streets of London from St Pancras train station to Maxwell's hotel.
I wanted to ask you because I think it's relevant. I think people will be interested to hear what you think of the current music scene. I know that's a kind of a loaded question, but...
The current music scene, it's very tough for me because I'm 36 years old and I've always promised myself that I'm not going to be the old guy who kvetches about what people want to do in their time.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like, I feel like every generation has the right to graffiti stamp their era the way they see fit. And I may not understand it. I'm sure that when I was in my 20s, people were looking at what we were doing and going, why don't you guys sample absolutely everything? Everything's a sample.
Mm-hmm.
Can't you just create your own thing? So in some ways, you know, we can point fingers at auto-tune and we can point fingers at, you know, the proliferation of just rap and how it's sort of like merged everything and it kind of like gobbled up soul music in a weird way.
Yeah.
You know, but,
yeah.
But everything, transition and progress is what makes life interesting. And,
Yes.
you know, the great thing that I feel now is that the pendulum is swinging back, and it's becoming okay again to be a musician and to be musical. And there are, like, you know, pre-teens that have like bar clubs, like not clubs, but like they just have like little world where people are playing and they're into jazz again. Like actually jazz is becoming cool again in New York.
Yes.
For like 14-year-old, 13-year-old
Really?
kids. From what I'm getting, because my friends, particularly Stuart Matthewman, who's got a 13-year-old son, and he kind of like tells us what's going on, and so it's kind of, it's like nice to know that jazz is cool again. That
Yes.
It's not,
Yes.
you know, it's not like weird to like jazz.
It's not old folks music.
Exactly.
Now, do you listen to a lot of jazz?
I do. I mean, you know, I'm not big in it because I try. I think it's I feel like it's so advanced. I feel so stupid next to it sometimes, you know. But I give it a go in terms of just my scales and what we do. But yeah, I think jazz is amazing. I mean, I love what it means in terms of just its freedom. But I love things to be simple. I love them to be sort of like, I like it to be easily consumable.
Yes.
I want people...
And relatable, so people can relate. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
that's the better word. Yeah. I want
Yeah.
people to be able to relate and not feel like, oh my God, this is so over my head. I feel like a dummy
Well,
listening to this.
you're not alone. I have to tell you that I'm the same way. I'm embarrassed, but I can't. I mean, I probably shouldn't put this on tape, but oh well, started saying it now. But I mean, I listen to Miles Davis and John Coltrane, and I don't get it. I don't get that they're geniuses. I get their genius, but it doesn't. I can't follow it because my way I'm wired is towards melody, and they don't. They go off and do all these tangential things,
Right.
and I'm like, well, where's the melody gone? And that's not what jazz. That's what jazz lovers love. That I'm like, well, where? Hello.
I kind of see what you mean. There's a difference when someone's making music for their own reasons, and then there's music when someone is making music to communicate to the masses.
That's a good point. Well, wow, that's a great segue to a question. You just created a question.
And not the masses in terms of
Right,
like
but
pop level, but just like
to be able to reach people.
reach people. Yeah.
Well, which are you? Are you both?
I think I'm both,
Okay.
but I definitely sort of teeter more heavily on the wanting to service the world with
Really?
with what will help them through things, you know, because I can make that music and just keep it for myself.
Yes.
But I think that what I release to the world should somehow get them through something, help them get through. You know, it's easy with the women because women are so emotionally open.
Yes.
But it's great when you hear a story about a guy who's like, you know, couldn't say a certain thing to his girl, and your song is
Said it.
Yeah, this is how this dude that is
Wow.
just, you know, always, you know, non-emotional, stoic, and then all of a sudden, you know, they have this avenue by which they can express something, and then you're the reason on some level. So that's.
Now, have you always been like that? Has music always been that for you, like something that you can contribute, that's going to be like you know, that really helps people? That have you always thought of music that way, or just kind of developed? Your thinking developed that way over time?
I just think, I mean, how do I look at it? It's like I went to school for advertising, and I always loved advertising because it was a big billboard out in the street for everybody to see.
Yeah.
I didn't really I love modern art and the Renaissance period, and I love all that, but that's stuff for people who know, the smart ones. But if you can kind of like put a big billboard with something really interesting for like the guy or the girl or the mother or the daughter just walking to work, and you can actually move them with an image, then there's something really special about that to me. And I think that that's why I make music. I don't make music so that other musicians
Can love it. Yeah.
I make musicians so that people who kind of can take or leave music go, wait a minute, there's something about this that makes me want to stop. Because that's when I feel like I'm doing work. I'm doing the real business of what I'm here to do.
Wow. That's well, now, I've got to ask you this because it kind of begs a question, which is the age-old, I guess, debate or conflict sometimes between art and commerce. There's art, which you do for yourself, so now, how do you ensure that your own artistic integrity is maintained while at the same time making music that is, accessible to people?
Well,
that's a big question.
Yeah, that's a big question.
Sorry.
No, quite all right. I just feel like I would never. I've had moments, and please, I probably won't ever say what those moments are where I did something because I thought it would be a hit,
Yeah.
And I always left feeling like I could never clean myself enough in the shower after those moments. So I think that for me, it's very important that I'm not only creatively satisfied, but that I am creatively moved to do something then for just that alone. And then in that, the money and the success will come. I think if I do something with a prerequisite or a strategy, it doesn't really...
It never works.
It doesn't work for me.
Right,
Some people it works, and I get kind of jealous sometimes about that. I'm like, damn, that's like so strategic and so marketed so perfectly, and look at that, it's making that person millions and billions, but for me it doesn't work like that. I've been sort of hardwired to have to be kind of pretty, I can't say the integrity because now I sound like I'm all like full of myself.
But I use the word, so it's okay.
You know what I mean? Like I'm just supposed to do it for good reasons. I'm supposed to do it not because of the reward, but because of the duty.
Because I get it. Well, there's an Indian word for that. It's called your dharma.
Your dharma.
Dharma, D-A-R-M. You've heard the word karma.
Yes, indeed.
Well, karma, this is another word similar to that, but it's D-H-A-R-M-A, and what it is it's whatever your life mission is. And that's what it's called. That's what it's called, your dharma. Whatever you, it's kind of a deep, everyone has something. Everyone has that. Everyone isn't necessarily aware of it, but when you discover it, that's what you're supposed to devote your life to, is your dharma.
Cool.
It can have more than one. It can have more than one component, but So I get it. I get what you're saying. Well, the only question I have as a follow-up to that is, well, given that's your mindset, how do you work with a record company who obviously, any record company, whether it's Sony or anyone else, who are there, they're there to make sure music gets out there, but they're also there to make a profit. So how do you kind of make sure that what you're presenting is how do you deal with it? I can't really articulate it that way.
I just take it to the people. That's what we did with the album. I didn't have a single out. I didn't have a record out in 2008. We just went on tour.
Right.
You show the label that the people are first, and they'll do whatever they need to do.
Wow.
If you show the label and the radio stations, and no disrespect to you, but media, that they come first,
I get it.
then it just like it's ass backwards to me, because in the end we're all like serving the masses, we're all serving the public together. So I just thought in some ways it's like, yo, you know what, how about we just go right at the folks. I just, how much longer, I just need to know, because we have an appointment that's now
It's right down
A
the
few
street.
minutes, yeah.
all right,
2 or 3 minutes.
because it's in Knightsbridge or
Yeah,
Knights,
yes.
Yeah, Knightsbridge is just down the street.
right,
It's literally
beautiful.
around there.
Look at this.
Yeah, man,
City.
this is history.
But I just took it to the people, you know, and that was risky too, because, you know, who knew? It was like 7 years, and people probably would have been like, first of all, who are you? You don't look the same. That's number one. And then two, no song on the radio, nothing to sort of like propel an interest in buying a ticket, and we're at the height of a recession. So I mean, I tell you, man, this year particularly, in the few months prior of 2008, have been such a, like, you know, just so validating, man. It just made me feel so like, you know what, I'm just not out here doing like the hustle and the you know, the two-step for a dollar kind of thing. You know, it just became more, and that's why when I stand there, and I'm so grateful not only to the people who are standing on stage with me, but to the people who are there. It's like it's a real feeling. It's a truthful feeling. It's not like it's not
made up.
Not at all.
Well, I only have one more thing, and then I'm going to turn off the. And thank you, by the way, for having this be an extended interview. I mean, I thought we were going to have like 10 minutes together, so I really appreciate it. I'm glad that we were able to touch upon some subjects. They're a little bit more in depth than just like, well, tell me how the tour went. So really, I really appreciate it.
It was good talking to you, because it was about music, and it's about things that are of importance, I think.
Yes. Well, what I wanted to ask you is, well, two things. Firstly, when you did those shows at like Radio City Music Hall and so on, I have to be honest, I was like, how is he able to do this when he hadn't had a record out for so long and sell out?
I asked myself that too.
I mean, were you kind of like in shock?
Yeah, I was in complete shock and amazement. But what was amazing was that the record company was like, oh, we might, I guess maybe we should just
do something here.
We should think about this a little bit. This might be something and that was what was great is that the people said it best. I didn't have to go in there, you know, like.
So in other words, let me get this right. I think I understand exactly what you're saying. In other words, doing those concerts and having them sell out and having people respond so favorably really was the catalyst that had record companies say, all right, well, let's just put this record out.
Well, I mean, the record...
I mean, I said that, you didn't, so...
Yeah, I mean, they definitely wanted the album. I mean, I would have been long dropped, you know, when you hold a record company, like, up that long, you know, and you got, like 8 or 9 or 10 artists have been dropped since that time. So, you know, I think they knew that, you know, don't let this one kind of go, because if we drop him, he may be able to kind of re-up somewhere else, and, you know... But I think they were really convinced all of a sudden. But, you know, to the credit of the record companies, particularly Steve Barnett, you know, he made the suggestion a long time ago. You know, you should go on the road, and you should just, you know, see your audience and see them face to face, and, you know, don't rely necessarily on the middlemen that sort of get the message through. Get the message to them yourself, you know. And, you know, in the beginning it wasn't like everyone was convinced, you know. I had promoters kind of like saying, okay, cool, I'll do this while I do what's really important over here for this night and that night. But then as it sort of caught on and
that's cool.
Ticket sales were happening. But I love having to prove myself, because when I know that I've earned every moment and everything that I have, I feel like better about it than if it's just handed over to me.
All right. Well, the last question is, you made reference, obviously, to the other two parts of the trilogy.
Yes.
So when is the next part?
Yeah,
when do you expect the next part to come out?
You're actually at the Mandarin.
November 2010 is the scheduled tentative date for the second part, and I think the third part will probably end in the summertime again.
Oh,
you know
2011?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
And there'll be 10 songs on the second one, and 11 songs to, obviously 9 songs for 2009, 10 songs for 2010.
Okay. Oh, smart. Okay.
11 songs for 2011.
And then?
And then...
Then we don't know.
Then I'm gonna go to Mars and colonize.
You go to Mars. Well, listen, you know there's a movie that came out today called 2012.
I've heard about it, but you know what? I was watching something on CNN called Mirador, which is like a forgotten city, and it's in Guatemala.
Yes.
And this is a whole Mayan.
Oh, absolutely. I've read about. Yeah, no, I haven't seen that, but I've read about that
And it
probably about 10 years ago.
And what they found predates what everyone has been talking about 5,000 years. So it could not necessarily be the case that the world will end.
Well, it won't end. It's not likely to end. But what is likely to happen? Like real, like no kidding. Something will happen. Most likely, what it will be is, and this isn't me saying this. This is scientifically true, that every few thousand years the Earth is a little off its axis, and it has to get back on its axis. So when that happens, it does cause a series of natural disasters.
I feel kind of like I can connect with that for some reason.
Well, yeah, and
I
so
feel like off my axis sometimes.
Yeah.
I create my own natural disaster.
Well, okay. Well, I think this is on a bit of a bigger scale, but I gotcha. Well, yeah, and that's really what that's about, and it isn't, and it is predicted in Mayan literature, and it's also in some ancient Jewish texts in the Talmud, which also predict the same thing, because there's Nostradamus. So there's a lot of things that do say something is likely to happen in 2012. Now, I doubt that it's actually the end of the world. I don't know, but I doubt it. But something can happen.
Right, I agree.
So maybe it's good that you put the album out in 2011.
I know, I figured at least
you can just cool. Right? You can chill out in 2012 while we all wait and see what happens.
Yeah,
you know?
and then I die.
Well, hopefully not.
Well,
hopefully not. Yeah, but I gotcha.
I'm definitely joking. But yeah, I can't wait. It came out today, this movie?
Yep.
Yeah, I want to see
Friday
it.
the 13th. It was kind of interesting day to put the movie out.
I want to see it, and there's no
Me
chance.
too.
I got that movie, and I want to see the Imaginarium of...
Oh, me too. I haven't seen that either.
Yeah.
Well, the 2012 comes out in both countries today. So it's out here today. It's also out in America today. So when you get back home, well, I'm sure when you get back, you probably have things to do, right?
Yeah,
Are you on tour? Are you going straight?
No.
You got some chill out time.
I need to just like...
Okay. We go to movies,
I'm
man.
going to go somewhere where there's like only one person somewhere, and it's me. That's honestly, I've seen a lot of people in the last few months, and I always need to recalibrate it so that I don't ever it doesn't get stale for me, because people can smell when it's not real for someone.
Yeah.
I never want to appear as if I'm going through the motions, especially when people pay their hard-earned money and
True.
and they really care about like wanting it to be good and wanting to have a good time with you. So.
All right. Well, somewhere in there, hopefully you get a chance to see the movie. I'm going to go see it this weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to go. Once we touch down, I think my flight's at 4 tomorrow.
Okay.
So hopefully it's on the plane. That'd be nice.
Well, I think, since it just opened today, I don't think they're likely to be on the plane, but you never know.
Still in theaters, maybe?
Hey, no. Well, like I said, and it got great reviews in the newspapers. It is a thriller. You know, it's like a big, it's like Independence Day. It's kind of like a big.
I hear visually, it's
supposed to be really amazing.
Amazing,
so,
yeah.
So. All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up. I mean, I can't believe we actually talked for 50 minutes, and I really, really thank you, because this
this was cool. Yeah. This was sort of unexpected.
Yes. Kind of like my
life.
life.
To go to a destination.
Yes.
And
maybe like your life too, unexpected.
Pretty much. Yeah. But it was good talking to you, though.
Well, you
honestly,
too, man.
You really, you know your music and you care about it, and that's what matters.
Yeah,
I think.
It's been my life passion, you know. And that's why it was particularly good for me to have this opportunity to talk to you, because one of the things I recognized in your music is that you have the same passion, that you really do. It is really about the music for you, and that's why I was like, yeah, well, let's try to make this happen somehow. So,
it really is about the music. But it's just like, it's interesting for me, because being 36 now, and I'm always very proud to say that, because I feel like I'm different.
Yeah.
It really is. And I'm glad that it's about the music for people too.
Yeah.